After Mom and I left Freeport, we came across what locals call the BFI statue. Boy, he was big. Now, just down the road from the BFI statue, have you figured that out yet? Is Delorme, which is world famous for its maps. At the Delorme corporate office and map store in Yarmouth, Maine, they display the world's largest rotating and revolving globe. The globe, which they call Eartha, weighs approximately 5,600 pounds. It has a circumference of nearly 130 feet and a diameter of over 41 feet. It's a lot bigger than any globe we had in school. Okay, now if you don't think that global warming is something that's actually affecting the Earth, take a look at this. A whole part of the Earth is gone. As a matter of fact, that's Antarctica at the bottom, so it's melted away. I don't know. I believe global warming is having an effect on the world. What do you think? After the Delorme map store, Mom and I rode down to Portland and drove through the Old Port District. I had read earlier that there were some World War II bomber planes that were over at the Portland Jetport, so we headed over. Now, there are very few World War II bomber planes that are actually in flying condition. This one is a B-17 bomber, and it flew dozens of bombing missions in World War II. Now, this is a B-24 bomber, and the really cool thing was that they actually had a World War II veteran who flew missions on one. And if you look really close through that back window, you can actually see him waving. I always feel honored to meet a World War II veteran. After leaving Portland, Mom and I headed to Cape Elizabeth. Did I mention she has a summer house there?
Well, come on in. Mom's having a little bit of work done on the house, but just come on in. You're welcome to come.
This is the Portland Headlight. It's probably one of Maine's most recognizable lighthouses. It's in Cape Elizabeth, and it was built in 1791. The views are just amazing. Now, south of Cape Elizabeth is Old Orchard Beach. This is like the Jersey Shore, but a lot smaller. Now, since it was after Labor Day weekend, everything was shut down. None of the rides were going. It was pretty quiet. The pier is a long-time fixture. My grandfather met my grandmother on that pier.
So Mom and I stopped in Old Orchard Beach, which is a place that I think she used to go to in high school. I know I did. And her mother did too, so it's been around for a long time. One of the famous things is the fried dough. It's cinnamon. Awesome. Had to stop and get some. And the fries. It's pretty quiet right now. After Labor Day, I don't think much happens around here. But it's still a great little place to visit. It's a beautiful day still.
And since it was such a beautiful day, Mom and I continued our adventure to Kennebunkport.
Sorry for wasting your precious time. Look at you now, you don't talk so loud. Your eyelashes have all run out from making them wishes and pulling them out. Screaming so loud, why won't you save me? Just save me tonight.
Now, after a great lunch with Mom, we decided to ride over to the Bush compound. Kennebunkport, the downtown area, is really small. It's filled with souvenir shops, a few restaurants. It's really geared towards the tourism that come into the area during the summer. I get a great understanding of why the locals can't wait for the summer to be over and all the tourists to leave. It was late in the season, but it was still busy.
Tonight, and I'll be waiting.
Now, this is the Colony Hotel. Its sister hotel is in Delray Beach, Florida. Summers in Kennebunkport, Maine, and winters in Delray Beach, Florida? Sign me up. Just down the street along the shoreline is St. Anne's Episcopal Church, which was built in 1887. All the stones that were used to build the church actually came from the Kennebunkport shore. This is the church that the Bushes would attend services at while they were in Kennebunkport. After leaving the church, Mom and I took a really nice ride along the coast while we headed up to the Bush compound. Now if you look close, the Bush compound is going to be coming up on the right-hand side. There it is, right at the point. It's a beautiful house, and it's a tourist attraction in itself, drawing tens of thousands of people a year. Mom and I met some wonderful people that actually have the home across from the Bush compound. Talk about a view.
With the sound and everybody.
Man, that's painting.
Isn't it?
I love it. How you enjoy Kennebunkport?
Her first time down here, so my second driving through, so it's very nice.
Very nice.
Weather today's perfect too.
This is our 15th year in that house.
Oh my gosh, you've got quite the view then.
Yeah. Wow. For how many years? 15.
15.
Well, the Bushes never invited Mom and I in, so we decided to get back on the road and do some sightseeing. Now, while Mom and I were lost, I mean sightseeing, we actually came across the Seashore Trolley Museum, which has a special history with my father and his mom and dad.
This is the Trolley Museum in Kennebunkport, just outside of Kennebunkport. And my father's mother had a trolley similar to this that they used to use as a summer beach cottage. And what they ended up doing is they sold it to this place to have it restored, and we can't find it though. So we've been walking around looking for some things. But anyways, also this would be a great place for a friend of mine, Fred, who loves trains, to come and visit. They got about 250 trolleys that they restore and they redo, and some date back early 1900s, late 1800s. Amazing. This is what people used to take for transportation. So, it's a great place.
Well, here's me nearly getting hit by one of the trolleys. And Mom decided to do her imitation of Rice-A-Roni, San Francisco treat. Well, after an amazing day of riding, it was time to head home. Now, for those of you that didn't know, my mother's family are fifth-generation farmers. Bell Farms, that's us. And this is my grandfather, Email Bell. You would have never met a nicer man. Everyone in the family has worked on the farm at some point. I did back in junior high and high school. I met up early one morning with my cousin Shane to see how the corn harvester works. Have you ever seen a fog bow instead of a rainbow? Well, there's one.
Morning. This here is a modern day corn picker. When I worked on the farm, we'd have burlap bags connected to our belts, and we'd walk down through the cornfield and pick from each row. Fill the bag up by hand. Close it up, throw it on a tractor that would follow us. Nowadays, this is what they pick corn with. Picks 4 rows of corn. Stalks would come in to here. It would pull it down. Cut the corn right off the stalk. About 43 degrees this morning, so it's a good temperature to pick. The ears are solid, they'll just crack right off the husk. Now this is all sweet corn, it's delicious. You can see by the lights that they'll go out at 4 o'clock in the morning. If anybody thinks that farming is easy, they've never worked on a farm. It's hard work. Because Shane's going to come up, we're going to go for a ride, pick some corn, see how this thing works here. So, come along for the ride.
Now, back when I worked the farm in high school, it would have taken 4 of us about 2 hours to pick that much corn. We just did it in 20 minutes.
Well, that's how you pick corn. It's a lot better, a lot easier to do it now. If you don't watch where you're going, you get your ass run over by this thing.
Well, that's how you pick corn. How about potatoes now?
Alright, so now when you go into your local grocery store and you pick up a 10-pound bag of potatoes, we're going to show you how you actually get those potatoes. This is the farm's potato picker. On Bell Farms, pretty well known for their potatoes. We do the potato, we do sweet corn, grain corn. This is one of their newer potato pickers. It picks 2 rows at a time. They'll have a tractor on the side that'll actually pick 2 rows, dump those potatoes into the 2 rows that they're picking. All goes up the conveyor belt. This potato harvester actually picks up the potatoes. It sucks up the potatoes and then sends all the other debris, junk, rocks, weeds, everything else off. It goes through the conveyor belts. The guys are up on the conveyor belts. They'll look, make sure that the potatoes aren't rotted or anything else. Goes off the arm into one of the trucks, loads the truck, heads it back down to the farm itself, unload it down there, and then they start bagging. So this is very different from when I worked the potato farm in high school. And it's different from when my mother did it, because they would go down the potato rows and pick the potatoes by hand.
That's my Uncle Dave Bell. Well, enough standing around and talking. Let's get to picking some potatoes. This is my Uncle Ray Bell, hardest working man I know. This is basically the start of the bagging process back at the farm. These are the potatoes that we just picked. We put them into a bucket loader, dump them into the conveyor belt system. While the potatoes are going across the conveyor belt, it actually helps to clean them. Gets rid of any dirt or weeds that might be left behind. Even the smallest potatoes are separated for planting. All the potatoes are washed before bagging, and they go through another inspection. It takes a good crew to inspect the potatoes, separate the potatoes, bag the potatoes, sew the potato bags, stack the potato bags, then load the potato bags into the trucks before shipping them off to the stores. It's quite a process when you're bagging thousands of pounds of potatoes a day. Look at the size of that potato. That is a great chef potato right there. Well, that's just a little look of what we do at Bell Farms. Thanks, Uncle Ray, for letting us watch. The next day I headed over to the Patrick Dempsey Center to visit my very dear friend Mary Dempsey, who along with her brother founded this center about 5 years ago. The new center opened about a year ago. They went from helping 900 people a year to 15,000 people a year who are affected by cancer in some way. The center has grown from 2,200 square feet to 11,000 square feet.
This is my dear friend Mary.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're on here now.
Oh, my dear friend.
Well, we're at her center, the Patrick Dempsey Center, and it's been 5 years now.
Yeah.
It has grown tremendously. It's successful because of the good heart and loving that Mary has for so many people.
It was great to catch up with Mary and see her new center. It was amazing. Well, my Maine trip was coming to an end, so Mom and I decided to take one last ride of the season before I hit the road back to Ohio. We decided to head up to Bar Harbor, Maine. The views along the way are just spectacular. Now, is it me, or does this look like a big spoke rim going around in a circle? Well, Mom and I made it up to Bar Harbor, and because once again it's after Labor Day, the streets were very quiet, but the views, they never quit. They're just spectacular. If ever you make it to Bar Harbor, stay at the Bar Harbor Inn. Their rooms have the best views.
Come aboard!
Now, the town Bar Harbor is a big tourist attraction. Lots of souvenir shops, restaurants. But once you get out of town and you get into Acadia National Park, the views are breathtaking. Well, it was time to say goodbye to Bar Harbor and goodbye to Maine, and get ready to hit the road tomorrow to Ohio.